welcome. It is Thursday night. It is very snowy. It is time for the Vintage Spoon Wrestling Podcast. We have no Ross this week. He is off rolling in the snow, making snowmen, counting his winnings from the Elimination Chamber predictions, which we will get to. However, I am, as always, joined by Vintage Benjamin Shelley. Vintage, how you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. So there's a lot to unpack there in that intro.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Hang on, let me help you out. So it's episode 11.
It is episode 11. Yep.
Shout out to Paul and Paul's cat.
Hello, Paul and Paul's cat.
And Spoon, you are the briefcase to my Carmella.
Yes. Perfect. I couldn't think of anything, so that's excellent. An excellent one.
Oh, and point of order, you said good evening, and that's very presumptuous of our listenership.
This is our this is going to be our intro now. I'm going to say good evening. You can call me out on it. That'll be how we start the show. So, how have you been this week? Do you have any matches or anything this week, or has it all been snowed off?
No. We had a show on Sunday just gone, and I wrestled Alex B on his debut.
Alex B, is his gimmick that he is a B?
His gimmick is that he's the real deal.
He's the real deal. Okay, I mean, I'm disappointed in that as an indie character that's not named after his name.
He accepted the Vintage Open Challenge.
Ah, nice. So you're like the US champion now. That's your gimmick.
The belt wasn't on the line, but maybe in future it might happen.
So what? You have an open? You're the champion. You have a Vintage Open Challenge where you don't put your belt on the line.
To be fair, this is a different promotion to where I had the belt.
Fair enough. Did you at least wear it?
No. I should send you the footage. The footage is actually on my YouTube channel. So
nice. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I cut a promo at the start that I'm quite proud of.
Very good.
In fact, no, hang on. I've already sent it to you. You've just not watched it.
That is possible. I've had quite a week. Are you snowed in up there as well?
Snow's not too bad here. We've got a couple of inches, but it's not particularly nice. One thing I will tell you, which I've not told you yet, one of the guys I train with commended you on your voice while you record.
Oh.
Says you've got a very easy listening voice.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad there is something about our podcast that is easy to listen to.
Okay, should we do on this day?
No, I think let's jump straight in it. What happened on this day in wrestling?
Right, so we're the 1st of March, and on this day in 1965...
Whoa.
Booker T was born in Houston, Texas.
Nice.
To be fair, I've got quite a nice mix for this one. 1993, WWF held a Monday Night Raw at the Manhattan Center, and the main event was Bret Hart beating Fatu with the sharpshooter.
Wow.
Bret Hart was champion.
I remember talking about that. Like that's one of these ones used as like an example of how Bret Hart can get a good match out of anyone.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 1998, we're going into ECW now. They had their Living Dangerously pay-per-view. It was the first of the Living Dangerously series.
Yeah, what was that one? Can you remember that one?
Okay, well, I can, but I've also got it written down as well, just in case I couldn't remember it. Yeah, it's at one point I actually had all the old ECWs on DVD, all the old pay-per-views on DVD.
I remember that.
Oh, actually, some might be on VHS, but yeah. Anyway, so this one was held in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Home of Bam Bam Bigelow.
I was going to say, what's the relevance of that? Yes, you're right. And Bam Bam Bigelow was in the main event.
Excellent. I assume he went over?
Well, he was facing Taz, who was the champion.
Oh, is this the going through the ramp one?
Going through the ring, yes.
Go through the ring, yes, I do remember that. That was a fantastic moment.
They went through the ring, and then I think Bam Bam came out first and dragged Taz out and pinned Taz because Bam Bam was obviously the big underdog.
Yeah.
On this one, and that's it was a really nice twist on it. They had a rematch, and then they went through the ramp, and the rematch is what you're thinking.
That's the one.
And then obviously WWE stole it, didn't they? Because who went through the ring straight after this pay-per-view on WWE TV?
Oh gosh, so many people have done it since. I assume it was.
Was it Big
Was
Show
it
chokeslam at someone, maybe?
probably yeah? Because Edge got slammed through the ring, but that was a lot later. That was 2000s.
And all right, so going to 2002, a relatively unknown wrestler, British wrestler called Magic.
I've heard of Magic. Was he
You will know
NWA?
Magic. He was NWA. Apparently, he won a tournament in Bedworth in England to become the first NWA UK Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Amazing! I love that that's listed on.
I do as well.
The place you found it.
Yeah, I saw his name and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So one for us, maybe, not for Paul and Paul's cat.
Excellent. Did we meet Magic back in the day? I feel like we might have.
I didn't, and I think you did, because I think he turned up the one week that I didn't go.
That was right. Yes.
But everyone used to speak about him because he was like one of the biggest talents they had at the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was doing really well for himself at the time.
It's really funny because there was one of the stories was the international spot. You know how the international finish is, you do the leapfrog into a hip toss.
Yeah.
Magic's idea was that you would do the leapfrog, and then rather than do spin around and do a rotation into the hip toss, you just step back.
Okay.
And the idea was you weren't wasting motion.
Nice.
Everyone else I've spoken to since hates it. But
Really?
apparently, but back then, Magic was revolutionary in thinking this idea of not spinning around and just doing that.
Yeah.
Everyone else I spoke to hates it because I don't think it's showy enough to just take a step back rather than do a full rotation.
I can see, but then a very British thing to do, just a step back and a simple thing. Well, you were telling me about a famous spot earlier on because from this week's NXT.
Russ Abbott.
What's that?
The Russ Abbott.
Yes, the Russ Abbott spot, which I didn't. Tyler Bate did a spot on NXT in a match against Velveteen Dream. Good match, well worth watching. Which is just where he sticks his leg between Velveteen's legs. As soon as Velveteen bends over to try and grab it, he leapfrogs him. So he's at the front and then hits him from the front. Really nice little sequence. But yeah, you said that's an old World of Sport one, is it?
Well, there's actually a much larger sequence that Johnny Saint used to do, and he would change bits up, but it was how Johnny Saint would usually finish a match with this spot. And it starts off with, stop me if I'm getting boring, but it starts off with Johnny Saint getting whipped into a turnbuckle. Instead of hitting the turnbuckle, he jumps up, springboards off it, and then dives through the person's legs. As they turn around, he offers the hands, and they do a knuckle lock, which is where, you know, when you put your hands up, like you're doing a high 10, and then they give you a high 10 as well, and you interlock your fingers. You break off your left hand, so you've still got their right hand in your left hand.
Yeah.
And then essentially you want to move it into a hammerlock. So I just step under and put a hammerlock on, but the way that Johnny used to do it was he'd step over, so that their left arms between your legs, you bend them down into a cravat.
Yeah.
And then you spin around their back, then you're into the hammerlock, and then you stick the leg through, so they bend down, leapfrog over, go back through their legs again. As they spin round, you put your hands up again. As they go to knuckle lock you, you slap your thigh, so they then go to shooting your leg. You kick your leg over, spin round, and then into a schoolboy.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like a tremendous sequence.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll have to see if I can put it in a match sometime just so you can see me do it.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a babyface kind of sequence, but yeah, get it in there somewhere because I'd love to see that.
Well, I guess at the end, rather than doing a schoolboy, I could just low blow them.
Yeah, that would be amazing. This whole dramatic sequence, and then just suck a butt or just thumb in the eye. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
I could do that, actually. That could work. But I think I need to find the right person to do it with, because obviously at Apex, where I was Sunday, Alex B, it was his debut. I'm not going to run it with him. And then my two matches before that were both against Carl the Bin Man. It didn't make sense for Carl the Bin Man to do it, although he could do it because he knows the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't want. I mean, you don't want to give too much of a rub to Carl the Bin Man. You know, you're 2-0 with that guy at the moment. I think just keep running them down. You're the Andrade Cien almost to his Johnny Gargano.
I can live with that. Okay.
Any more? Oh yeah, there's more. Yeah, what we got?
2011, Abdul the Butcher is confirmed as going into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Okay, I didn't even know he was in the Hall of Fame.
Neither did I until I read that.
Oh my God, well, I didn't even know he'd wrestled for WWE. I guess way back when.
Yeah, like the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, because he's only on the network. You have to go way back to kind of. I guess it must have been pre-WrestleMania, but he's on like Starrcade '84 or something. There's a Butcher match, and it's really tough to watch.
Oh yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Really grim, some of his stuff.
And then finally, 2011 again, Johnny Curtis wins the 4th season of NXT.
Johnny Curtis?
Johnny Curtis.
Who did he become, or did he just disappear?
Well, I'd never heard of him either, and when I read that, I was like, what? And so I Googled him. Turns out, yes, he did have a name change.
Is it John Morrison?
Nope.
Who is it?
Fandango.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, that's it for my segment.
Excellent. Really good. That's what the thing I like about our show is it's this weird mix of trivia, ranting, and discussion about really specific indie British wrestling topics.
And us reminiscing as well.
Yeah. Talking about the old times.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now we've got rid of Ross, we can start reminiscing about stuff.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah, we'd have to feel guilty about leaving him out.
So there was a pay-per-view this week.
Before we get to that, but a shout out to Nick as well, because apparently Nick sometimes listens to this show.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for listening to the show.
He's not listened to my interview, though, so we don't like him that much.
What? That's the good one.
I tried telling him
loads of content. There's just us rambling. Well, it's not just us rambling. If you've just listened to this show for the first time, please keep listening. It's really good.
And yeah, if we know your name, we'll shout out to you.
It's not just two people ranting about wrestling to a cat. So the Elimination Chamber happened on Sunday. The road to WrestleMania is well and truly underway.
Until it hits the fast lane speed bump.
Until it hits the fast lane speed bump, and then, although if you're John Cena, your road runs through all of those, which we will get to, because for some reason. Overall, we'll go through it sort of very briefly, match by match. Before we get into it, would you like to know the scores from the predictions?
The thing is, I don't, but the fact that you've gone through the effort of actually totaling them up, I should probably just say, yes, of course I do, Spoon. Please tell me.
I wish I hadn't, to be honest. There's every chance this recording could get deleted somehow, because that seems to be how they go. We won't call it last place. In third place with 2 points.
That'll probably be me then.
That's me.
Wow! I didn't come last.
Yeah, no, I got only the main event. We all got the main event wrong, right? Let's be honest. As much as I tried to get Ross to say Elias, and I got the match wrong. No, you were in second place with 3 points.
We both got the girls' match. So what was the extra one?
No, I got the men's match, and I got Matt and Bray, and then you got.
Did you think Bliss was going to retain?
No, I went Sasha.
Oh, you pavement head.
I know. For no reason, I went with Sasha because I said, well, she's a bigger star. They'll want the belts on the big stars going into Mania. And then immediately after that, bet on Titus Worldwide to win the tag match. I don't know why. But yeah, you got the women's chamber right. You got Asuka and Nia right. And you got the men's chamber right.
To be fair, I should have got Nat and Bray right, but I don't know what came over me.
Whereas, unfortunately, neither of us were a match for Ross, who got a clean sweep. Ross correctly predicted every single match.
Oh wow! Well, there's a reason to listen to our prediction shows.
Yeah, right. I think we'll just not tell him next time we're doing a prediction. I think just
I
keep
think he's
that one
outstayed his welcome, hasn't he? Really.
Yeah, I think it's about time that we broke up this stable and.
And the thing is, I'm really looking forward to a couple of days' time when we get the message in our private chat saying, "You jerks."
He won't listen to this. So yes, Ross did very well. Congratulations to Ross. He wins absolutely nothing.
He wins our hatred.
He does, our lasting enmity, and maybe some chops when we see him. But nonetheless, let's have a look at let's have a little look at the card itself, and see how it sort of went. Open with the women's chamber match. I guess that's how they had to do it. They have to kind of bookend it with chamber matches when you have the gimmick because of the effort of getting the prop in and out. I thought this was... Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, we were expecting them to do it at the Royal Rumble, but they didn't, did they? They did it back to back.
Which I guess you can do it with the Rumble because it's, you don't have to get any... You don't have to get the sell in and out or fix anything or, But I always feel like they must have to be really careful with the sell for the first match when they do two of them, so they don't break any bits or they don't have to. There's probably quite a bit of sitting around while they fix that. That's probably why they got massive long promos and things.
Are we going to talk about the chin mats?
The chin. You weren't a fan of the mats on the outside.
Yeah.
You weren't a fan of those, were you?
No, I mean, some people thought that it was because of the state that they were in, but I think it's just that they've decided that they want to do them now. And I know you liked it because it meant that they could do more on the outside, but I just thought they looked silly.
There are more things like you wouldn't have gotten things like you wouldn't got that Twisted Bliss off the top of the pod, which was a great spot, even though Sasha no-sold it immediately. It looked great. I think stuff like that is sort of worth it. I really like the design of the new chamber. I think it looks a lot better than the old one. You can see stuff a lot better. It's easier to get the camera guy in there. And I think the other thing with the mats is that they're just really paranoid of injuries at the moment. This close to WrestleMania, with this many things set up over long term, I think they just don't want anyone getting hurt. So they're trying to make it as safe as possible.
So I'm going to be old school about this. I'll take up the mats and say, wrestle safely, you idiots.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. What did
Don't
you think?
kick each other in the back of the heads.
Well, you'd think that would be obvious, but what did you think of the women's chamber match?
That's fine.
Just fine. I really liked it. I'd say it was probably my match of the night.
Which is funny. Well, you knew I wasn't going to be big into the Elimination Chamber gimmick matches because I kind of said on the last show that I'm just not into them anymore.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised by the Asuka match, the Asuka Nia Jax match. I thought that was quite good. That was probably my match of the night, if I'm honest.
Okay. I thought it was all right. I thought the end was a bit flat. They kind of the beatdown was sort of all right. Keeps the heat, rather than completely derailing it.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking more bell to bell rather than...
Yeah, it wasn't... my issue was it wasn't as good as their NXT match, but that can be said of a lot of things where, they had more time with the NXT match and it was for a title. So I can sort of see why it's not quite as big a deal.
There's only 5 matches as well on this card as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. Really small card. I really liked all of Alexa's stuff in the chamber match with the climbing around, trying to get away from everyone. I think I love her. I loved her promo at the end. I think she is just. I think her and Miz are the best heels in the company at the moment, and some of the best characters on it. It was just such a great moment. Like you genuinely thought she was turning face, and then that whole thing, really nicely done. Some Sasha and Bailey stuff, which is nice. And actually, I can see them keeping that program going. And they did a little bit on Raw with Bailey refusing to tag, and there's some little bits there. And actually, I think maybe they don't actually need a title to make that feud work. I could see them having a WrestleMania match between each other without needing a belt on the line, just having a grudge match or something.
With a kendo stick on a pole.
Yes.
If Sasha had any sense, she would challenge her to that match.
Oh, the moment when Bailey finally picks it up. That'd be great. That'd be like Daniel Bryan winning the belts. Bailey finally uses a kendo stick. The Bar versus Titus Worldwide. It was a Raw match. I think the thing we can say most about the tag team title match and the Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy match was they didn't feel even slightly like pay-per-view matches.
And they're matches we've seen a couple of times before as well.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the belts on the bar, fine. That's sensible going into Mania. That's who you want them on, really, even though I didn't say that in the predictions.
Never did I, to be fair, so...
Yeah, that's fair. Matt and Bray, it's rubbish, wasn't it? I really hate saying that because I like them both and we need more characters like those guys, but...
Maybe not together. But I think it's the whole point that they're just trying to keep in this program until Jeff comes back, and unfortunately Jeff's taking too long to come back.
Yeah, there was just bits that didn't... They tried to do spooky stuff. Bray appears in the ring. Matt disappears. Bray's playing a bit of hide and seek, running around, trying to find him, looking under the ring for ages. Like, how long does it take you to look under the ring? And then Matt reappears just on the steps, just does a little double axe handle, and then they carry on and just have a normal match.
So who would you put both of them with for a program at the moment until Jeff comes back?
Oh, it's really tough because I think Bray has been really badly damaged just by this last year. I think he's lost any semblance of being interesting. I think he works better when he's got a stable around him as well. The Wyatts were better than he was on his own. I think Matt, I don't know who you'd necessarily... I think you need to put him with someone stronger in the ring than Bray. Bray's got a lot of spots, but he's not the greatest worker.
What about if you turned Bray face and stuck him with Matt?
Yeah, I could see that working. That would be great. I think the main thing...
As a kind of super odd couple.
Well, I've said Bray should have been turned face, 2-3 years ago. He could be so popular as a babyface. And people have been wanting to cheer for him for ages. But they're not going to do it.
It could be like a Kane and X-Pac thing.
Yeah, I guess. The main thing with Matt is that in terms of work rate, he needs to work with somebody really good to sort of disguise the fact that he's a bit slower than he used to be. He's still fine. He's not terrible, but he's just, he's older now. He's in his 40s. He needs someone who can kind of cover that. But mainly, you just need to give him creative control. Let him have the freedom to do stuff with that character like he did when he was in TNA, and he will come up with amazing work. But don't give him these scripted promos where he's just laughing for 10 minutes and just making him shout delete to sell T-shirts.
And that's the real problem, is the fact that we had to wait so long to get it as well. If we got it straight away and it was as bad as this, it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad. But the fact we had to wait and then we were told we're getting it,
yeah,
we should have known it wasn't going to be good. We should have known.
It was more exciting when he was just doing bits of it while he was still in the Hardy Boys. But sadly, it doesn't look like it's going to be going. And to be honest, after this reaction, there were Rusev Day chants throughout most of the match, which I'm starting to feel bad for Rusev because the Rusev Day chant has become code for we're not enjoying this segment. It's like the CM Punk chant.
Yeah.
Which
and
I don't think...
need to be careful because they're missing that opportunity with Rusev.
Well, the trouble is I have a feeling that chant becoming this thing with the fans is not going to do Rusev any favours. Because Vince isn't going to be happy with it. Creative aren't going to be happy with this sort of thing. And it'll be like kind of taking Ty Dillinger off TV because they don't like the 10 chants. And just hoping they go away. I don't think it's going to help Rusev at all.
Well, I think they've missed it. I think they needed to pull the trigger on it like a month or two ago.
Yeah, it's not hot anymore. It's not hot in the way that it was before.
Yeah, they probably needed the SmackDown titles, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I could see them ending up in like some kind of tornado tag thing at Mania maybe, and being over, but
Well, that's because the SmackDown tag team scene is so stale now. If they put the belts on the Rusev Day, it would have shook up that division a bit.
And you absolutely could have. This is the tag divisions are so weird at the moment. The Raw tag division is just an example of just being really starved of people. You don't have any big stars at the moment, really, for Sheamus and Cesaro to wrestle. You've got Revival on there, who are, I think, for my money, one of the best tag teams in the world.
Until they got buried.
That's the thing. And the same with the Club. You forget how good the Club actually are, but still, or Balor Club they're now called. But no decent booking, no decent consistency, and it's really hard to get to behind them and believe in them. Whereas SmackDown, you've got loads of brilliant teams, just can't seem to do anything with it.
Well, they can't break with the glass ceiling, which is the Usos and the New Day, can they?
A little bit. It is hard when the two of them, if you're trying to put together a match, a bankable tag team championship match for a pay-per-view, I can see the thinking of just, let's just put the Usos and New Day together again because they'll have one of the best matches on the card. Even though it's not new, even though it's not interesting, they'll still have a really good match. And can you think of a better? Is anyone going to be as excited to see Usos versus, I don't know, the Fashion Police and they are building to. I have a feeling you're not going to like it, but I think they're building towards Usos versus Bludgeon Brothers, or
of course
New
they
Day
are
versus Bludgeon Brothers at WrestleMania.
Of course they are.
Which is, you've not been a fan of the Bludgeon Brothers for a while. I've been holding out hope. I've been enjoying these squash matches that they've had and thinking, okay, that's interesting. I like the idea of a monster team coming along. Everyone's a bit scared of them. How are they going to do it? The big test was always going to be, how did they look when you put them in the ring with actual teams rather than just enhancement talent? And they came out this week on SmackDown. They interrupted New Day and Usos, and they just looked rubbish immediately. It was just Harper and Rowan again. It was just those guys from the Wyatt family, and even though everyone else was trying to sell being afraid of them, just didn't look very good.
Well, they're being booked like they're in the mid-90s, aren't they?
Yeah. No, I think a monster gimmick, it all comes down to whether they look credible, and they just didn't. And I still think that AOP are coming up after WrestleMania, and they your new monster tag team. No questions. They are a genuine monster team, and
they can get fed to the Bludgeon Brothers. You know that, right?
Oh God, I hope the fact that they have Paul Ellering with them as part of that group will kind of give them something, because he's certainly got credit in the bank. But they're everything is pointing towards them coming up. They're in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, which is starting next week on NXT, which is always worth a watch. But they're in the opening match in the first round against TM61. They beat TM61 in the finals of the last Dusty Rhodes Classic. TM61 have just come back off injury. Everything to me says TM61 win that match, and then AOP leave NXT and come straight up to the main roster. And I can't see a place for Bludgeon Brothers with those guys around.
Okay, so I guess we're done with the chamber. Should we talk about our main topic? Let's have a nice quick show. Let's be efficient.
Well, do you want to talk about the men's chamber quickly? Obviously, Roman Reigns won, but did you want to talk about John Cena a little bit in there, because we said we sort of mentioned that briefly. Cena gets eliminated. Braun runs through everyone, and then of course loses to Roman because he has to. Really weird ending to the show. Braun then just beats up Roman Reigns. I think because they knew everyone would boo Roman winning the match. So they're like, it's the same as having The Rock come out to try and cover up the boos of Roman winning the Royal Rumble. They have a Braun beatdown because people like a Braun beatdown. And it
exactly the same end as Survivor Series, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's just like, what? I mean, surely you just book a thing that people will like. Like, you shouldn't be having to sugarcoat. Shouldn't be booking the event based on, well, everyone's going to really hate the finish, so we better do something nice at the end of it that will send the show off with a cheer. That's silly. Just don't book the thing that everyone will hate.
Well, it's Vince versus the rest of his writing staff, isn't it? It's Vince saying, guys, I want Roman Reigns over. You just get it done. And then them trying to just frantically write something that people like. Yeah.
It's just sad. Sad to see.
So Cena. So I kind of like the story that they're telling here, where it's like he doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. They kind of it's like a work shoot, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got no road to WrestleMania. If he doesn't have a championship match, he won't be there. He'll just be at home. They won't invite him.
To be fair, he costs a lot of money, so you can't really blame them.
Yep. Just won't get to do any signings. If you bought a ticket to WrestleMania, you want to meet John Cena? Nah, sorry, not on the show.
So we won't talk too much about Fastlane because we've not done predictions yet for it.
Yeah,
but
we'll do something next week for that.
I'm really getting the feeling it's a case of if Undertaker's match ready and if people are into it, they'll run with that. If not, apparently they've got a backdoor into Rey Mysterio.
Yes, God, there's an image. I heard that about Ray. I think weird one. They've got no real history, but yeah, it'd be an okay match if Taker's not up for it. I like the idea, and I can see what they're doing. They're trying to repeat the Shawn Michaels thing from a few years ago when he had to wrestle Undertaker and kept going to extreme lengths to do it. And it's like Cena has to be at WrestleMania, and eventually it'll be Undertaker or someone. I think my concern is that I'm not sure you ever really want to compare yourself to Shawn Michaels Undertaker at WrestleMania. I think anyone is going to come up wanting on that. That was such a good angle, so well performed by everyone, and it led to probably the best WrestleMania match of all time. So that's a high bar to set yourself for two guys who are not at the peak of their career anymore.
So I'm wondering if the whole Cena promo where he called out Undertaker and saying it was never going to happen, I'm wondering if that was Vince doing the whole Carney trick of let's see how much they want it. If it sounds like they really want it, if the crowd pops big enough, then yeah, we'll run with it.
Could be. I mean, it's Undertaker. People will pop for anything if it's Undertaker. We'll have to see. But we'll find out. He's in the main event for Fastlane now, along with the entire SmackDown roster.
Apart from
the women, they might be in it by the end of it. Roman Reigns will probably be in it by next week.
Nakamura's going to be in it, and then he's going to have to wrestle himself, maybe. Yeah.
Nakamura versus Nakamura. There is actually talking about Mania. There is a little bit of talk about there being some uncertainty over Brock Lesnar's status for it. He's been in talks with the UFC. There have been some news sites have been jumping the gun a little bit and saying, "Oh, well, he definitely won't be at Mania. He's walked out on the company." It doesn't sound like it's that. It sounds like he is just keen to go back to UFC as soon as possible. He will probably do it straight after WrestleMania. I don't think at the moment there's any suggestion he'll leave before Mania. But it sounds, from what people like Wrestling Observer are saying, that's the reason that Braun Strowman is being kind of kept on the sidelines at the moment. He was going to be in the Intercontinental title picture. That's kind of been put aside in favour of Rollins and Balor and Miz. And I think the idea is they're just sort of keeping Braun floating there in case either he has to step in for Kurt Angle in the mixed tag match, which the segment for that was very good, or if he has to replace either Reigns or Lesnar. It's not a bad idea, actually, even if there wasn't anything about someone leaving the company. You've got a match you built up for this big. It's going to be your main event from the card. You want to have some kind of backup just in case someone gets hurt in the run-up to it.
What about Braun Cena?
Braun Cena? Yeah, good match. I think that would be... I think that could be another option. That's the thing, is they've got a lot of question marks at the moment. They've got a lot of matches that might not happen or might need something else to them. So I think it's sensible to have Braun there so you can do something with him. So long as it doesn't end up in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal again. He needs something on there. He's the best thing on in the company at the moment. So let's talk about the other thing. That we had a news story that probably not as many people will have heard of unless they listen to Jim Cornette's podcast, which was something which you do religiously.
I really like him. Obviously, he's
Big
old
fan.
school.
He is. He's old school. He's vintage, you might say. So what was the story? What did Cornette find?
So he was informed of essentially the accounts by WWE are now in the public domain, so
Okay.
you can actually they publish how they're doing financially on a quarterly basis, I
Of
think.
course, yeah, they're a publicly traded company, so yeah, it would be.
That's it. And the big story that came out of it was the cash flow in NXT, which is obviously one of the subsidiaries of the WWE product. I actually looked on Wikipedia, and there's actually quite a lot because you've got the network, for example, is a separate subsidiary to the main umbrella group.
Yeah.
But the big thing about NXT was over 2 years, their turnover was in the negative. So taking into account ticket sales and all the costs of the production, workers, etc., meant that they were actually down $35 million
Across
over
2
2 years.
years.
Yeah. So it's like
Okay.
17 and 19 or something like that. Something that makes maths works, but in that
Sure.
ballpark. But yeah, $35 million they lost.
That sounds like quite a lot of money. What that is in the context of WWE as a whole, I'm not sure. I mean, my take on this is sort of different. I know Cornette thought that wasn't. He's not a fan of NXT in general. I understand. I think that's right, isn't it?
So the main point he was making was that when he was doing it, when it was Ohio Valley Wrestling, he didn't have that much money to work with. He had like a fraction of that. He had like barely $1 million to work with, I think was the idea. And they were putting on good quality shows, obviously a lot lower production values. But the point he was making is that he never lost money. They always made money. Even in the worst years, they broke even, but they never lost money.
Sure.
And then he was kind of making the point of actually, if he was in that position, he would make such a great product out of NXT if he was being basically given a blank checkbook and said, "You've got all these millions, go and do whatever you want." And I think that's kind of the point he was making, that he made something good out of nothing, and yet these guys, all these writers and Hunter, get all this money that they can just flush away, do whatever they want, really.
I suppose. I think there are different. There are differences between Ohio Valley and NXT, and certainly there are differences between NXT and another promotion. You know, losing 35 million sounds like a big thing if it were a standalone promotion, but of course it's not. It's WWE's development territory, so it's there to serve a different purpose. It's not there to make money. It's there to build up stars of the future, so that they can hire them for potentially a lower rate initially, develop them, and then use them on their main roster. And if it is contribute, and it also helps sell the network, it helps do other things, so it makes money in other ways.
But that was the point, though, because Ohio Valley Wrestling was the developmental territory for such a long time as well.
Yeah, it was, but also the way of hiring. The way of hiring talent worked differently back when Ohio Valley was development. You know, you didn't really have a thing where you would hire big name stars and then send them to Ohio Valley. You know, NXT is hiring big name people like Adam Cole, who are big indie stars.
Shinsuke Nakamura back then.
Yeah, Nakamura.
AJ Styles went main roster, didn't he?
He went straight to roster,
yeah.
but Samoa Joe and these are guys who are commanding big salaries on the indies. So, and they're guys who perhaps originally would have gone straight to the main roster if they were like coming from WCW or something like that. But you don't have that anymore. Whereas Ohio Valley was much more about people, unknown talent, back when, and at a time when kind of indie stars weren't the stars that they are now. They didn't command the kind of money that they command now. People coming in, young John Cena, or who are some other, Brock Lesnar, old Ohio Valley talent, but they were just kids out of school really at the time. They didn't have those salaries.
Well, so, Boogeyman as well, yeah.
Boogeyman, yes, all the greats. So Ohio Valley could operate, I think, with much lower cost, and it wasn't making a TV show as well.
They were making like one on cable, like local access cable or something.
And remember that because of the way it's broken down, all of the TV revenue that NXT is making isn't properly being filed under NXT. It's being filed under the network, which is a separate entity. So it's all. I think you have to look at the whole thing, all in all. And if WWE is making money, then NXT is making money.
But no, so I think you convinced me somewhat, because you're right. It is a very different climate because indie stars make so much money, and you're right. Guys from other territories or other big promotions like WCW would just come in and go straight on the main roster, and then they would learn to work the WWE style then, rather than doing it on NXT.
The point, I think, stands that I think we would all like to see Jim Cornette running a promotion with the kind of money that NXT has. I think that would be really interesting, especially having seen some of his older stuff. I think he could do some great stuff. There is some Ohio Valley on the network, I think. I've never watched any of it, but it is there. So if you want to go and see what a Jim Cornette booked promotion runs like, you can catch some of it there.
Oh, I might go and watch it now you said that.
Cool. Okay, that will do it for that.
Do you want to do a quiz?
Let's do a quiz. I think I've got a good chance of beating Ross this time.
It's a return of an old favourite, Spoon.
Is it? What we got?
Go on, have a guess.
Is it? We've done like working out wrestling names before. You're not going to make me name everyone in a Royal Rumble from some time, are you?
No. It's the return of Russo or Rusno.
Yes! I love Russo or Rusno. Also known as Vince Russo is a terrible person.
Okay, here we go. There's a few of these. So for the benefit of, well, Paul and Paul's cat know this, but for the benefit of Rob, who was the guy who said that you've got a very nice voice.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Essentially, I'm going to read out a bunch of tweets, and they're either tweeted by famous writer and booker Vince Russo, or I've made them up and they're written by Vintage Rusno.
Vintage Rusno. All right.
Okay. Ready for the first one?
Yes.
Come on, WWE. Another 6 women tag? Seriously? That's how you bury talent, not with BS storylines, but the same formula every single show, every single week.
I think that's Vintage Rusno, because that's the opinion you send me every single Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, that's Rusno.
Hooray!
And just to help you out a bit, I've removed all of the ats and hashtags as well, because I'm not clever enough to put them in the fake ones, and I've also tried to cover up the swearing as well.
Clever.
Okay. You mean out of those 5 guys, one doesn't say, doesn't it make us look like wussies? Because it does, and it did. That's what I mean by not protecting all your talent. Does anyone really want to argue that?
I think that's Russo.
That is Russo.
Yeah. Okay. Was wussies maybe a different word in his version?
It was. Man, it is just outright rude when people don't get back to you. Just absolute BS. No one person is more important than another, and we're all busy. I try my best to get back to everyone who reaches out to me. If I fall short, I really do apologise.
Vince, no, is that your promo from this week's show?
That's Rousseau.
Ah.
Dear WWE, why do you let JoJo dress like that? It's not attractive in the slightest. And before the idiot starts saying I'm being sexist, I think you are missing my point.
Oh, that's got to be Russo. That's a terrible thing to say.
That's Russo.
What?
Yes, I worked hard on this one. Dear Stephanie McMahon, just looked up the word revolution. Nowhere did I find the definition that stated 6 women tag matches. That does not mean anything until we all want to vomit. Nowhere did I find that.
Russo, no.
That's Russo.
Oh, God damn it. I'm so bad at this. You're getting really good at writing like Vince Russo. That's a troubling quality.
Well, that's the thing. I actually tried to trawl his Twitter account to find out where we had shared that opinion. And I just wrote down differently. Okay. Elimination Chamber, question mark. More like Elimination BS. Predictable, boring, and the list goes on and on. This really is the worst it's been since the Attitude Era. This is why people are turning off the WWE programming.
Elimination Chamber, more like Elimination BS. Russo.
No.
Oh. What am I, like 1?
No, you've got 2. I think you've got the first 2.
All right, okay.
Okay, we've only got a couple more. Yes, I'm watching Teen Mum and not WWE. Don't know what put me more, Deborah's Crocodile Cheers or Ryan chewing gum at the altar. Both were big money.
That's weird. That's got to be Russo. That's too weird for you to have made up.
It is Russo, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I'd give you an easy one.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just being as honest as I possibly can be. I'm watching SmackDown and I just don't give one single solitary poop. I swear I'd rather watch either opera or ballet at this point.
I love the way you've changed all the swearing. Is that Russo? Would you have made up swearing and then changed it on your own quote? No, I don't think. I think that's Russo.
It is Russo, but he did use the word poop. And he used like the poo emoji for the picture.
Russo's got kids as well, I guess.
Okay, the Marks really need to come up with something better other than describing me as bitter, because I state the obvious. Raw as a TV show absolutely stinks in 2018. Bitter, as in I'd rather be away from my family and home to experience that BS life. Really? Moronic.
Russo.
Okay, last one.
Okay, let's bring it home strong.
Here's my positive thought for the night. Elias is a star.
Oh, God, this happened last time. What does he think of Elias? I
purposely picked this one because of the reference to the last one.
I know. There were loads about Elias in the last one. And he really he does like Elias. He does, but I think it's Russo.
It is Russo, well done.
I love that he likes Elias. I don't know why. It's just the weirdest thing. But, well.
The thing is, doing this, I went to a very dark place and actually started listening to his podcast as well.
Oh my goodness, that is a very dark place.
The thing is, his podcast, the thing is, Jim Cornette's podcast is better when Jim Cornette's talking about wrestling. The problem with Jim Cornette's podcast is only a third of it he's talking about wrestling. The rest of it he's talking about American politics or his microphone. He just talks about random crap I don't care about. When he talks about the wrestling, I'm interested. Everything else is rubbish. Whereas Russo just talks just about the wrestling from what I gather. And he has Stevie Richards on his podcast as well.
Okay. Because if there's one thing we don't like, it's a wrestling podcast that frequently goes off topic.
How are we doing for time anyway?
I think we've done pretty well. I think we're coming up on 50 minutes. I think that's a decent time for a bit of a review show. So we can come back in a week and talk about Fastlane, make some predictions for that. Hopefully Ross will be back with us so he could be all smug about his victory here. I will be all smug about beating him at Russo or Rusno this week.
Should we just not let on that he completely smashed us?
Yeah, I think we'll just try and keep it quiet and
see if he listens to this episode or not.
You never know. We will find out. Have you got any? You're not having to hack through snow to go to any matches or anything this week, are you?
No. Next show's end of this month. Actually, I've got a few weeks off.
Well, we will look forwards to that then. Do you last show we accidentally set off your particular website Amazon music
product, yeah,
by saying the name of a particular wrestler in the during our predictions. You still got it in the room with you at the moment?
I have, yeah.
Alexa, play the Vintage Spoon theme. See you next week, everyone.
Goodbye.